I mean, I guess the first thing to say about it is, I mean, I think I've noticed. I mean, it's been pretty obvious, but that Alex Jones is kind of going through it right now. He's been sued by the Sandy Hook victims' families, and he lost, which isn't surprising. And it seemed at first that he was going to face no like serious consequences for that. I think he even said it himself that he wasn't going to pay the money that he owed. But after some recent news about it, that might not be the case, because Infowars, his website, how he got famous, the conspiracy theory website, was bought by the Onion. And I mean, the Onion is probably about on the same level of like legitness as Infowars in terms of how real is what they're saying. So I mean, I guess it fits. But for those who weren't like following the whole thing, he filed for bankruptcy in 2022, and many of his personal assets are being liquidated to help pay the judgment, which I believe is about $1.5 billion or something like that. And according to ABC News, the Onion acquired the Infowars website, the social media accounts, the studio in Austin, Texas, the trademarks, and the video archive. And after the sale was announced, the Infowars website was down, which I actually saw myself. I went and checked it out. I was wondering if they were saying anything about this on there, but it's down for right now. I think it still is. So, unfortunately, if you want to check it out, you can't. So, I mean, I don't know for sure what they plan to do with Infowars, but the fact that the Onion has access to the studio and the name, that's all a good sign, in my book. I mean, I think it's kind of funny because it's going to be really weird when someone goes on that set, if they go on that set and it's not Alex Jones anymore. It reminds me of like that when they, raided the Capitol on January 6th, and the guy who was wearing the crazy like Viking hat and the American flag went into the speaker chamber and stood at like Nancy Pelosi's desk, or the speaker desk, because she's not the one there anymore. That was pretty crazy. And I guess it's kind of gonna be like that, except I guess if you want the other side invading the other side's space. So that's gonna be fun. And I do know that apparently they do plan to do something with it. They apparently said they are going to do something with it. They're relaunching in January, I believe, and so because of that, there's going to be some good stuff coming from it. So also according to ABC News, and this is a quote from them, Jones vowed to challenge the sale and the auction process in court. Well, first of all, he also promised they wouldn't get any of the money and that nothing would come from this, and that didn't happen. But I mean, at this point, you completely lied about the victims of like a shooting and helped cause a harassment campaign against their families. I mean, you should probably just accept this whole thing and be happy they didn't get more from it. Although I guess I don't know what more they could have gotten. I mean, they got what we all know him from, so maybe he didn't have anything more to give, I guess. But also, according to Intelligencer, Infowars is going to relaunch in January from Chicago, where the Onion's headquarters are. So first of all, I guess it was kind of pointless to get the studio because it doesn't look like they're doing much with that. But it's at least nice to know they got some definite plans to do something with this purchase. Although, I mean, I guess that shouldn't be surprising because I don't know how much money it was, but however much money they'd probably spent on it, it shouldn't be surprising that they're going to do something with it. But that really makes me wonder how much it was, and I hope it was not $1.5 billion because, frankly, if I was Alex Jones, who is probably quite wealthy, and he was able to pay off the legal debt with the sale of Infowars. If that was what happened, then that's just kind of sad that that's all he lost. Because when you think about it, if I was him, I would probably just be fine with that. I mean, if I lose that, but I still have money to just retire, or whatever. Because he's not super young anymore, so he could probably retire with whatever money he has. I don't know if he really learned his lesson from that. And of course, he's going to keep doing what he's doing on just like Twitter or something. So, that's too bad. And also, I'm sure someone's going to put up the money for him to get a new show, because a lot of people watch his show for whatever reason. Not really just for ironic value, sadly, which is what I thought the main reason people watched it was for. But in the end, I mean, I've never really seen a lot of people come to his defense on this whole thing, which I'm happy about, but a little surprised by, because to go back in time a little bit, I was like shocked by how many people were defending him during the trial when there was the sentencing, and people saying, he lost his right to his free speech and all that. So I'm glad that this time it's kind of the opposite, where there's basically no one saying anything, or people like making a point to brag about, how it was so cool how he, I mean, making a point to how it's so cool that he's not going to pay any money to the victims. I don't think that's something to brag about really, but I guess I'm maybe in the minority on that one. But I also thought it was a bit sad when you look at, because going back to like 2017, 2018 or whatever, Alex Jones was like a big meme online. Well, I guess he is now still, but it seems like it's different now. But back then, it was kind of shocking how many people would say, that they're defending him as a joke or ironically or whatever because of the memes that he made. And then like years later, they're actually on his side with this stuff and think he's correct about things. That's a bit sad to see how much of a shift there's been in that relatively short of amount of time. And I mean, there's also just plenty of idiots on Twitter who just defend everything he says, and people like him say. And luckily I didn't see much of that this time. But I feel it's worth mentioning that if like you are defending him in this whole court case and all that, I mean, you're defending a guy who like attacked the parents of a dead kindergartners for fun. I mean, if that's kind of the side you're taking, and that's something where I'm being objective as I can. That is what he did. Then you got to kind of look back and think about if you're on the right side of this whole thing. If you're on the side of the guy who's making claims like he is and has just lost his conspiracy theory website to the courts and to the Onion. So as I said earlier, I mean, I guess it's not that original of a statement. Other people have said it too. But the main thing to consider is that Infowars will probably be producing the same quality of news in terms of how true any of it is, but just on a self-aware basis for once. So I don't know. I guess that's something to look forward to in this whole thing.